thạc sĩ Lê Sĩ Giảng, thạc sĩ Nguyễn Thị Nhung và thạc sĩ Vũ Thị Kim Ngân. Trong khuôn khổ của môn học tại Phương trước trong hoạt động thương mại quốc tế thì em có tổ chức một cái phiên tòa gọi là phiên dự án tòa định trong khuôn khổ của WTO. Thì em cũng xin giới thiệu qua một chút là cái tranh chấp này liên quan tới việc Trung Quốc áp dụng một số cái biện pháp về hạn chế định lượng đối với những cái nguyên liệu thô mà Trung Quốc xuất khẩu sang một số nước. Và vì vậy mà cái nguồn nguyên liệu đầu vào để sản xuất hàng hóa của những nước này thì gặp khó khăn, và vì vậy mà họ đã khởi kiện ở Trung Quốc để có thể có một cái nguồn hàng, nguồn nguyên liệu đầu vào tốt hơn. Sau đó thì ban hội thẩm đã đưa ra phán quyết, và sau đó thì Trung Quốc đã kháng cáo tại cơ quan phúc thẩm, và cái phiên xét xử hôm nay thì là phiên phúc thẩm tại cơ quan phúc thẩm. Tham dự vào phiên phúc thẩm này thì sẽ có 3 thành viên của cơ quan phúc thẩm, đó là thạc sĩ Lê Sĩ Giảng, thạc sĩ Vũ Thị Kim Ngân sẽ đóng vai trò là chủ tịch hội đồng xét xử, và thạc sĩ Nguyễn Thị Nhung. Thạc sĩ Nguyễn Thị Nhung thì đến từ Vụ Pháp luật Quốc tế, Bộ Tư pháp, và thạc sĩ Lê Sĩ Giảng thì là trưởng nhóm khuôn khổ pháp luật và thể chế của dự án quản trị nhà nước nhằm tăng trưởng toàn diện dự án GIP. Và cô Vũ Thị Kim Ngân thì là giảng viên của khoa luật và bây giờ đang làm nghiên cứu sinh tại Đại học Bộ Quân y ở Milan. Và rất may rằng là trong thời gian cô về nghỉ Noel thì rất là đúng là dịp mà chúng ta diễn án, nên là cô cũng rất là tích cực tham gia. Và về phía khoa thì thầy cũng rất là trân trọng được giới thiệu có sự tham gia của tiến sĩ Nguyễn Minh Hạc. Đây cũng là một sự cổ vũ động viên về mặt tinh thần rất là lớn đối với các bạn sinh viên. Các bạn trong quá trình học tập cũng đã nhận được những sự ủng hộ rất là lớn đối với từ ban chủ nhiệm khoa đối với các hoạt động của sinh viên. Vì các bạn tham gia diễn án thì chúng em cũng đã cố gắng gọi là làm cách tốt nhất để giống như một cái phiên xét xử thật tại WTO. Thì ở trên này sẽ là cơ quan phúc thẩm sẽ ngồi ở đây, và chúng ta có thư ký người kháng cáo đấy là Trung Quốc, và các bên bị kháng cáo thì chúng ta có Liên minh châu Âu, có Mỹ và có Mexico. Và tham gia vào cái phiên xét xử kháng cáo này thì cũng có rất là nhiều bên thứ ba. Thì ở đây chúng ta có 3 bên thứ ba, bao gồm Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ, Colombia, Canada, Nhật Bản và Brazil. Và như vậy là anh cũng xin giới thiệu qua như vậy, và bây giờ thì em xin phép là cái phiên diễn án giả định này được bắt đầu ạ.
United States, Mexico, and European Union is now in session. The appellate body sitting in this session, presiding member Mr. Manek, other member Ms. Hillman and Mr. Oshima. Countries, China, United States, Mexico, and government organization of the European Union, as well as delegates of third parties from Argentina, Brazil, Canada, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, India, Japan, Korea, Norway, Saudi Arabia, separate custom territory of Taiwan, Penghu, Kinmen, Masu, and Turkey. To this appellate review on the China raw material. For introduction, I am Ramire Hernandez, your presiding member, and sitting today with me on the left is Ms. Hillman, and on the right is Mr. Oshima. The appellate body now wishes to hear the appearance for the appellant China in this matter.
Good afternoon, members of the appellate body. My name is John, today with my colleagues, Ms. Chong will present the opinion in discussion with government in China. My colleagues and I will present three claims. First, Ms. Jennifer will address the issue regarding Article 6.2 of the DSU. Then, Ms. Fama will address the issue regarding Article 11, paragraph 271A of Law 1994. And Mr. Fernando will address the issue regarding Article 20, paragraph 3 of Law 1994.
Thank you. May we now have appearance for the appellee in this matter? First is US and Mexico, and then European Union.
Good afternoon, member of appellate body. My name is Aisho Monia. So I am with my colleagues, Mr. Bahanoma, Mr. Rosinante will represent the country of United States and Mexico. So we respond the China claim. First, I will respond the China claim on Article 6.2 of the DSU. Mr. Bahonama will respond the China claim on Article 11.2a of GATT 1994, and Ms. Rosinante will respond the China claim with regarding the Article 20G GATT of the GATT 1994.
How to be members of the appellate body? My name is Anna, and together with my colleagues, Ms. Alex and Ms. Michelle, we will represent the athletes in this matter, the government organization European Union. Today, my colleagues and I will respond to three issues presented by China. The first one will be Ms. Alex. She will present to us the Article 6.2 of the DSU. The second one is Ms. Michelle. She will present to you the Article 11.2a of the GATT 1994. And finally, it's my turn. I will present to you the Article 20G of GATT 1994.
Thank you all. Previously, I think anomaly is the oral statement made by the application as the extinction in the field. According to the United States proposal, the session is open for the public. Is there any objection?
We have no objection, members of the
We have no objection, members of the appellate body.
We have no objection, members of appellate body.
Thank you. Appellant China, please raise your hand.
Member of appellate body, my name is Jennifer and I will present a claim arising from the issue of Article 62 of the DSU. Section 3 of the patent request does not comply with Article 62 with the exception of the complainant's claim regarding non-publication of export measures concerning zinc. Thus, we require the appellate body reverse panel's finding made pursuant to other claims allegedly contained in Section 3 of the patent request. We contend that patent request is invalid in light of the coherent racing problem, like a brief summary of legal basis from the complaint, and claim that patent frustrated China's due process rights under Article 62. In the fourth place, we would like to state that the first condition on showing up clear problem in patent request is not met. Firstly, in reality, the matters in three patent requests are considerably different. The subsequent submission by the complainants revealed substantial differences between the United States and Mexico on the one hand and European Union on the other hand, with respect to specific combination of measures and claims at issue. However, the patent requests are nearly identical. The problems presented in three patent requests are nearly different, thus giving the misleading impression that three complainants referred the same matter to the DSB. Additionally, in previous proceeding, panel's action is the most obvious proof that panel itself recognized that the panel request did not provide the necessary connection between 37 listed measures and 13 listed treaty provisions. First, the panel rejected the complainant's argument that there was no need to establish any connection between the measures and claims at issue. Second, in the first phase of its preliminary ruling, the panel requested the complainants to clarify which of the listed measures were alleged to be inconsistent with specific WTO obligation. Third, the panel requested again after the first panel meeting with the parties that the complainant clarified with specific WTO each of the measures were allegedly violating. Finally, there was no language in the panel request that indicated that the complainants had in fact established the connection, but instead relied on the complainant's subsequent submissions as a basis for its finding that the panel request complied with Article 6.2. Consequently, although the panel stated that the complainant's first written submissions provided sufficient connections between the measures and claims at issue, we believe that they are applicable only for panel question 2 following the panel meeting and not from the first written submission. Even the panel expressly acknowledged this fact when it noted that in their first written submission, the complainant failed to directly address the connections between the measures and claims at issue. Additionally, all three examples listed by the panel to illustrate that the complainant had in fact connected the measures and claims at issue are taken from the complainant's response to panel question 2 after the first panel meeting and not from the panel request or the first written submission. About the second condition on the insufficient brief summary of legal basis of complaints under Article 6.2, we can see that a part of basis of panel request is supplemented by additional information from subsequent submission. In this view, DS 316 EC large civil aircraft panel did prevent that complaints cure the defect in panel request, thus it is illegal. Finally, we claim that the panel frustrated China's due process rights under Article 6.2 of the DSU. In particular, China's right to begin preparing its defense on the basis of the panel request and its right to have the scope of the dispute unaltered during the course of the proceeding. With respect to the claims listed in Section 3 of the panel request, it was impossible for China to begin preparing its defense when the panel requested was filed, because the measures implicated by different narrative paragraphs and the claims made regarding those measures could not be identified.
Thank you. After the US and Mexico, what is your comment on China's opinion?
Member of my body, I am official, so I will respond to China's claim. So on behalf of the United States and Mexico, we respectfully request the appellate body find that the panel found correctly the Section 3 of complaint and request regarding the comply with the requirement of Article 6.2 of the DSU. Why do you say that? The first, actually, the panel took consideration and reject China objection under Article 6.2 of the DSU in preliminary ruling. We can see in paragraph 34 and 35, the panel stated that narrative paragraph aimed at explaining briefly how and why some challenge measures at issue are inconsistent with some of the WTO principles. So, panel also conclude resolve its decision on China objection under Article 6.2 in paragraph 47. So we think the panel provisionally accepted the Section 3 of the panel request comply with the Article 6.2 of the DSU. Second, regarding the connection between the challenge measure and the provision of a cover agreement claimed to have been violated, China mistakenly relies on the appellate body's statement in DS 268. U.S. oil country tabular goods sensor reveals that in order to present the problem clearly, a complainant must prove claim connection. But we must pay attention because in that case, appellate body found that the panel request satisfied the requirement of Article 6.2, even though the link between the merger and the WTO obligation is far less clear than the panel request in this dispute. So it has been shown that China has advocated a dramatically new approach of interpretation of Article 6.2 of the DSU. So the third, regarding the amendment of first writing submission, we assert that the panel question questions following the first and the second panel meeting, requesting the complainant to list all measures and specific WTO provisions each measure allegedly violate will not pose with any specific intention regarding the section 3 of panel request, but rather in order to clarify what recommendation the complainants were seeking with respect fully on the claim as issue in this dispute. So, the panel looked at the table submitted by the complainants in order to confirm that China had not been prejudiced in the evaluation of its defense. Finally, in consequence, United States and Mexico maintain that the panel respected the due process requirement under Article 6.2 of the PSU. Panel took pains to assert whether argument advanced by complainants resulted any prejudice to China's ability to defend itself. So, we request the appellate body to find that the China requirement to reserve the panel finding regarding the claims purportedly made by complainants on basis of Section 3 of panel request be nullified.
Thank you. Please, what is your comment on this one?
Distinguished member of the appellate body, I'm Alice Nguyen and I'm responding to the Article 6.2 of the DSU. We object on the contention of China on this matter. First, regarding to the showing up clear problem in the panel request is not met. We do not agree with China that the panel has allowed the complainant a long menu from which they could choose a subsequent submissions, the specific combination of measures and claims. On the contrary, we have no choice at all, and regard the specific combination of measures and claims as the issue. We also disagree that the complainant's responses to panel action 2 following the second panel meeting have corrected the defects in the panel request. For us, the reply given by the complainant the panel action 2 was merely a summary of claims which had been presented in more detail in the complainant's first submission. Also, our first written submission was sufficiently clear as to which Chinese measure was evaluation of which WTO obligation, and the scope of this dispute was therefore established early in the proceedings. Furthermore, in response to China's submission, that is attaches great importance to the paramount principle that deficiency in the panel request cannot be cured by the party's subsequent submission. We argue that this content can only be relevant if the panel question was in fact defective, which is not the case in the present dispute. And in response to China's contention that the panel observed defects in Section 3 of the panel request, we, the European Union, assert that the panel never found that the complainant's panel request was defective, although the panel observed that the complainants had not directly addressed in their submission or in the subsequent oral statement the question of whether Section 3 of the panel request was consistent with the requirement of the Article 6.2 of the DSU. This was not pointing to a defective panel request. And second, in response to China's assertion that the panel erred by frustrating China's due process rights under Article 6.2 of the DSU, we contend that China has already defended on the claim made by the complainants, show that China has the opportunity to prepare exhaustively its defense in the early stages of the panel proceedings.
Other attorneys, yes, basically, is any further documents on this matter?
No distinguished member of appellate body.
So, would the applicant of China raise any rebuttal on the matter?
No members of the appellate body.
Okay. So, will any third parties have any claims in the concerning matter? Please raise your voice.
Your distinguished members of the appellate body, I am Ariel and I am the representative of Brazil WTO. And Brazil would like to raise
our concern regarding China's claim that panel erred in finding that Section 3 of the panel request complied with Article 62 of the DSU. So we suppose that an excessively formalistic approach to the interpretation of Article 62 could unjustifiably increase the procedural burden on the parties. Brazil notes that the appellate body has identified two major objectives of the panel request. The first one is a jurisdictional function, and two is the due process function. Institutions affecting the proper delimitation of the panel's jurisdiction, corrections, or clarifications of an alleged error or imprecision cannot modify the scope of the dispute as expressed in the panel request. Conversely, when defense in the panel request allegedly affect the due process function of the request, subsequent submissions may be taken into consideration by the appellate body to analyze whether the due process rights of the party have been prejudiced or not. Therefore, subsequent submissions should not, in my view and in Brazil's view, be a priori excluded from serving as evidence relevant to that legal determination. Thank you.
Thank you. Colombia.
To the appellate body, Colombia would like to submit our opinion on the concern.
Please proceed.
We totally agree with China's opinion that the panel urged by finding that the Section 3 of the complainant panel request presented the problem clearly in the said Article 62 of the DSU because the complainant failed to provide sufficient connections between the 37 listed measures and the 13 listed treaty provisions. In failing to do so, the complainant renders the due process objective of Article 62 ineffective because neither the responding party or any other third party could be able to identify with sufficient clarity of the claim or the problem.
Thank you. Any other third parties? Any claims on this matter? If not, we move to the next discussion. The matter of 11 to A of GAP 1994. To be continued. In respect of the second matter concerning Article 11 to A of the GAP 1994, the appellate body would like to call for the appellant channels first.
Members of the appellate body, my name is Francois. I'll address two matters regarding the panel's interpretation of Article 11.2a of the GAP 1994. We request the appellate body to reverse the panel's interpretation and application of Article 11.2a of the GAP 1994, which that's part of the panel's finding that China had not demonstrated that its export quota on refractory red bauxite is temporarily applied to prevent the quicker shortage. We believe that the panel erred in its interpretation and application of Article 11.2a of the GATT. In the panel's view, our measure was found to unfit the conditions of Article 11.2a, which limits the prohibition on quantitative restrictions expressed in Article 11.1. With that said, we assume that the panel erred in its interpretation and application of the term temporarily, and its interpretation of the term quicker shortage. First, with respect to the panel's interpretation of the term temporarily, we agree with the panel's finding that the word temporarily suggests a fixed time limit for the application of a measure. The panel, however, subsequently adjusted its interpretation to exclude the long-term application of export restrictions by stating that Article 11.2a could not be interpreted to permit long-term application of export restrictions or to permit long-term measures to be imposed. The panel's approach suggests that Article 11.2a imposes an absolute limit on the length of time an export restriction may be imposed. However, we maintain that the words to prevent or relieve in Article 11.2a suggests that the term temporarily does not mark a right line moment in time
after which an export restriction has necessarily been maintained for too long.
China, can you explain more how the length of and probably apply export restriction be determined?
Yes, members of the FOE, whether an export restriction is applied temporarily depends on the period of time required to prevent or relieve the critical shortage. We believe that the panel heard in finding that Article 11.2a and Article 20g are mutually exclusive, and that this finding was the basis for the panel's wrongful interpretation of the term temporarily in Article 11.2a. We suggest that two provisions are not mutually exclusive but apply cumulatively.
Thank you. So please continue your argument.
To continue, secondly, with regard to the panel's application of the term temporarily, we believe the panels failed to take into consideration the fact that our export restrictions on refractory-grade bauxite are subject to annual review. The panel erred when simply assuming that our restriction on export refractory-grade bauxite will be maintained indefinitely, since at the close of each year, we thoroughly assess the factual circumstances in the light of the legal standard set forth in Article 11.2a to establish whether the export restriction should be maintained. Now, to continue with the second matter, we believe that the panel erred in its interpretation of the term critical shortages as excluding shortages caused by the finite nature or limited reverse of the product. We agree with the panel's interpretation of the term critical shortages as meaning a deficiency in quantity involving sustained or great fear of decisive importance. However, the panel erred in excluding from the scope of Article 11.2a shortages caused by the limited, finite, or exhaustible nature of the product. We contend that the drafters intend to limit the applicability of Article 11.2a to renewable resources such as foodstuffs. We would have indicated that by employing the term other renewable products instead of other products, or by explicitly excluding exhaustible natural resources from the scope of Article 11.2a, for us, the panel interpretation leads to absurd distinctions, because Article 11.2a cannot be used to justify export restrictions on exhaustible natural resources, such as bauxite, but it could be used to justify restrictions concerning natural resources that can be renewed, such as wheat. In our view, the fact that the product cannot be renewed may worsen the consequences of the shortage, thus making it particularly important to impose a restriction that will alleviate the shortage. We believe that the panels committed an additional error in its interpretation of critical shortage by assuming that there is no possibility for an existing